Greetings, it's Ray Carnicelli at Lax 904. Just wanted to check in with everybody. We didn't have a radio show on Sunday, so we didn't get a chance to catch up on the week that was and the week that's coming up. I hope everyone enjoyed their holiday. My voice made it through the JU versus Bellarmine broadcast. It was a nip and tuck whether I was going to be able to keep my voice for that call, especially saying goal by Jacksonville 18 times. So I want to catch you up on Flagler, on Jacksonville University, and on the high school scene as well, as the high school are into the regional playoffs. But let's start with Flagler. They came into Saturday with a chance to secure the home field advantage for the Peach Belt Conference playoffs. Unfortunately, they fell to Lander by a score of 14-9. They fell behind in the first quarter 7-2. And then played even the rest of the way. They had some injury issues, some challenges in the goalie play, but they also had some good performance to build on as well. The result is that they have to head back to South Carolina this week for a semifinal game at Lander against Montevallo on Thursday at 6 p.m. And then the winner of that game will play most likely Lander, who faces off against Alabama Huntsville. So for Flagler, yes, they lost the home field for the conference tournament, but all of their goals are still ahead of them. Should they be able to defeat Montevallo and then most likely Lander, they would host the play-in game for the Division II National Championship Tournament against the winner of the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. So once again, all of the goals for Flagler are still ahead of them. They had that, I think it was an 11-game winning streak. They were ranked number 6 in the country. A great run, but now it's time to start a new streak. They're currently number 10 in the country with all of their goals ahead of them. So I'm sure Coach Duncan and the Flagler Saints will lick their wounds, learn from this loss, and be better for it as they travel back up to South Carolina. Let's talk about JU, a game that I called on ESPN Plus with Jim Applegate. It was an 18-5 final, and going through some of the stats, when I'm calling a game, I'm watching the ball, and it's a different way to watch a game than as a fan. So some of my impressions, first of all, were Drew Ripien set the tone. Statistic-wise, it was a good statistic day, but it didn't tell the whole story. The eye test was that the Jacksonville face-off unit, Drew Ripien in the wings, and Baez as well when he was in there, he took a few. They were dominant. Even if Bellarmine did come up with the initial face-off and get credited for the win, there were many times where Ripien or the wings took it away, and Jacksonville ultimately not only grabbed the possession, but created offense as well. They put a lot of pressure in the early offense on Bellarmine from the face-off unit. Secondly, Ryan Delarocco, he had, and I said this during the broadcast, he had a quiet, great game. Didn't face a ton of shots, but I think he had 9 saves on 5 goals against, so 61% save percentage, but he just was so steady back there. No rebounds, commanding in the clearing game. The defense did a great job of putting the shooters in savable spots for Delarocco, and when it's savable, Delarocco's going to save it. Didn't see too many one-on-ones or layups, so great game for Delarocco and the defensive unit. I want to point out Michael Meredith, the freshman defender. He was awesome. He went toe-to-toe with one of the top scorers in the nation in John Alley, and for most of the game it was Meredith and Alley, and a couple of freshmen battled hard, and Meredith took it to him. And what that allowed for the entire Jacksonville defense was they didn't have to worry about sliding to Alley, because that's when he's very dangerous. When the slide comes, he's got great vision, but it also allowed the adjacent defenders to time their doubles. They didn't have to worry about sliding as much, but they could go in an aggressive posture, and we saw some great doubles and takeaways by the Jacksonville defense. It was their best performance against a Bellarmine offense that's put up a lot of goals, but they are top heavy, and all of the defense did a great job on the number of scorers that Bellarmine has. So For Jacksonville on offense, let's see, I know I took this note down because I didn't believe it at first. 14 of the 18 goals for Jacksonville were assisted. And that's an amazing stat. It just shows the unselfishness of that Jacksonville offense and the vision that they have as well. And Coach Galloway's mentioned to us in the past, they didn't always want to look for the first shot, but the best shot. And a lot of times that's looking off a potential shot to get a better shot. And 14 of 18 assisted goals is really impressive. Some of the performers here, Nicky Brown with 4 goals and an assist. Dalen John Hill, 3 goals and an assist. Jack Taylor with 3 goals and assists. And Jackson Intrari with 2 goals and 6 assists. He really is, he sets the tempo for that whole offense. Not just the tempo, but the mindset as well. Very confident. Sometimes when you're watching Jackson play, he kind of lulls the defense to sleep. He puts the pressure on them because they have the scouting report. They know he can go, so they're a little tentative to begin with, and then he lulls them to sleep, and he's making these amazing passes. Sometimes his passes are harder than people's shots, and he gives you those no-look through 2 sticks and the skip pass to give easy looks to his teammates. So love the way Jackson Intrari is playing on offense right now. What I would also add is even though the production from the midfield unit still has not gotten to the point where they're scoring a lot of goals, they did contribute, but the ability to not feel bad about putting 10 different offensive middies out there and keeping the flow of the offense, there's something to be said for that. It does put the pressure on the defense and frees up that lethal attack of Taylor, Hill, Intrari, and Brown, and allows those guys the flexibility to attack from different positions as well. So we'll continue to see how Jacksonville runs those second and third midi lines. Watching Mercer play, that's the game ahead at 2 o'clock on Saturday. They're a lot like Bellarmine. Dylan Bush, you'll see him at number 0. He has the majority of the Mercer goals and the majority of Mercer's shots as well. So it'll be interesting to see if Meredith gets that matchup, because he's a young, dynamic player, a lot like Allie. So will it be Meredith on Bush? That's something I'm looking forward to seeing. Jacksonville has the ability to put up a score against Mercer like they did against Bellarmine. They have the ability, should they be able to control the ball and limit the turnovers, to run a bunch of guys out there and turn it into a track meet and hopefully watch Mercer wilt under the heat here in Jacksonville. Mercer is playing for their playoff hopes. They still have a chance to make the tournament. Jacksonville is in the tournament, so they want to get the highest seed, whether that's being number 2 or number 1. They know they're going to be home. I'm sure that they would love to have that locker room as the number 1 seed, but the bottom line is they need help. Number 1 is win the game, beat Mercer. Obviously, goal differential always does come into play if you look at the tiebreakers in the A-Sun. But at the same time as our game, Air Force and Utah will be playing, and that's a rivalry game. Air Force wants to beat Utah in a bad way, and Utah wants to lock down that number 1 seed. So for Jacksonville to get the number 1 seed, Air Force would have to beat Utah, and they would have to keep that goal differential that Jacksonville has the advantage right now. Jacksonville beat Air Force by 5. Utah beat Jacksonville by 3. So we need a close Air Force victory for Jacksonville to get that number 1 seed, but none of that matters if don't beat Mercer. So we'll be rooting for Air Force, and as we always do, we'll be rooting for Mono Wilhelm. I did want to give Mono a shout out. He had a hat trick, 3 goals and an assist in Air Force's win versus Mercer this past Saturday. A lot of great contributions from our LAX 904 alumni around Division 1, 2, and 3. So we'll continue to highlight those on X and on Instagram. I'm looking forward to the high school games this week. Fletcher and Creekside is the one that has the potential to be the closest and most competitive. That takes place on Wednesday. But you've got the number 1 seed Episcopal. You've got Bulls as a number 2 seed in Class 1A. So we'll see if their roads meet for a rivalry rematch later in the playoff season. In 2A, Ponte Vedra has the number 1 seed. So whether it's Fletcher, Creekside, Nice, or one of the other teams in 2A, the road to the Final Four goes through Ponte Vedra. I do have a request for additional high school broadcasts out, so we're trying to work out those time slots, and we'll announce any potential games that we have. But the Division I men's lacrosse right now with Cornell at the top, but probably 12 different teams could have a stake at the national championship. I follow Division III closely because Cortland's having a great season. They're at number 12 in the nation in Division III right now, keeping an eye on all of our local players playing in college. So make sure you stay tuned. Follow me on X at Lax904. Follow me on Instagram, Ray Carnicelli, Lax904, and I'll try to keep pumping out the content. I was a little under the weather the last few days. It surprised my voice survived the Bellarmine broadcast, and other than talking right now, I've been trying to save it for the Mercer broadcast. We'll be back on the radio Sunday morning, so ESPN Plus at 2 o'clock on Saturday, 1010XL at 10 o'clock Sunday morning, and then we'll announce our upcoming broadcast as well. So hope you enjoyed today's little modified podcast, and let's have a great week of lacrosse. Go Flagler, go JU. Let's have some fun high school games, and we'll check back later.